Welcome to the Career Oasis. Today, we are diving into using your human design and specifically at a high level, your human design type and strategy for your job search. This is why this is important. Whenever we're doing things in an unaligned way, we tend to feel pretty miserable. And I've been through my job search process many times, as I'm sure that if you are listening, you are in a job search process or have been through one. It's something that most of us do. The process can make us feel, first of all, it tends to be very discouraging. It can feel like a total drudge, like a slog. Right now in May 2025, a lot of job seekers are talking about just experiencing a lot of ghosting, not getting responses, being in an interview process and just never hearing back. Like a lot of things that can really tax the mind and can really make this process feel not great, right? Well, along with that, if you are also taking action in a way that is not aligned with your strengths, with your, in this case, human design type or strategy, it's not going to feel aligned and it's going to feel even worse. And so one thing that we have control of, because there are so many things in the job search that we do not have control of, one thing that we have control of is the strategy that we follow for our job search and is making sure that what we're doing is aligned with our strengths and feels good to us. We can control that part. We can't control the responses that we get. And so we're going to be talking today on how to use your human design type and strategy to create a strategy that plays off your natural talents. And then that's going to allow you to show up and be your most authentic self. And with being authentic comes feelings of peace and ease. And for some of you out there, I might mention a strategy today that even sounds fun for you, right? Because it's going to be aligned with what you are meant to be doing. So to get the most out of this one, you are going to want to know your human design type and have a basic understanding of your type's strategy. I am assuming that you know those things. So when I jump in, if you're like, wait, what are we talking about? You're going to want to pause, go to a site, grab your free human design profile from any site you would like, and understand basically what it means to have that type and strategy, just at a high level. I'm going to break this down and make it specific to job search very specifically. So let's dive in. Starting with our manifestors, the high level piece that manifestors that you need to know is that your superpower is initiating. Your superpower is creating opportunities, creating pathways. And your strategy is to inform. That means let people know what you're doing before you do it. Okay, so you as a manifestor, you're going to thrive in roles that are entrepreneurial and where you can create your own path, okay, where you get to be creative. And so you're going to really, in job search, you're going to want to be looking for companies and roles where you can be innovative and autonomous. Because here is the thing about manifestors. If you have to follow the status quo or you feel micromanaged, you might start feeling angry. That is the not self theme of the manifestor, is feeling angry. So if you are experiencing that, it means you're probably not following your strategy or you're in an environment or situation that's not allowing you. So make sure you're looking for those opportunities where you get to be innovative and creative, because that's going to help you feel the most aligned. Now, in terms of job search very specifically, I think this is important for us to recognize. Society says the traditional advice for job search is to wait for opportunities, right? You scroll a jobs board. So that's waiting for an opportunity. The opportunity's been posted, so now you can apply to it, right? That you network politely, never be very gentle in your networking and always apply through formal channels. A lot of times in society, people say, oh, well, how many jobs have you applied to, right? So this formal advice, traditional advice, I should say, can feel very stifling to a manifestor. And so what I encourage you to think is, instead of thinking like, oh, I have to do it this way, remember that your strategy and your superpower, I should say, is to initiate and to create opportunity. So think, what do I want to make happen? And how can I be the one that sets things in motion? Okay, this is all about you initiating. You get to make it happen. You get to set things in motion. And that's going to be a way for you to shift your job search. So rather than sitting back and waiting to see what you see on the job board, it's about you getting out there. So how do you do this? We're going to get very tactical with specifically how you do this. First, you need to be leading with your vision, okay? That means you have to be crystal clear on your vision. So if you are not crystal clear on where you want to go and what you want to do, then that's your starting place. And be clear on what you want. That's the role, it's the company vibe, it's the mission. Maybe you're not 100% sure on the role. Maybe you have multiple roles you're interested in. That's all fine, but you have to have clarity on at least part of this process. And then you want to share that out. You want to make sure that people know what that is. So this might be on LinkedIn, for example. You can just make a post. I'm looking for an opportunity to do X, or here's the impact I'm looking to make. Okay, so that's high level. I want to make this impact, and that puts it out there. That begins that process of bringing it to you. You also are the type in human design that gets to pitch your own role or ideas to a company you admire. Okay, so there may not be a job posted, but you might be able to land yourself a meeting with a decision maker and pitch your role or idea. Okay. The whole point here is to let the world know that what you are creating, what you are calling in. And as a manifestor, you lead the conversation. Okay. You are initiating. And so as you're initiating conversations, that should be part of your strategy. It's not just applying for you. It is initiating conversations and reaching out to directly to decision makers and say, I have an idea I'd love to explore with you. So I was talking with somebody who very much had this attitude. They really wanted to work, like their dream would be to work with Penzeys Spices. And so they decided to just put together a passionate, compelling email about an idea that they have for the company and send it to a couple decision makers. That gives me a sign. Now, I don't know their human design, but I have a hunch they might be a manifestor just based on that action, because that is very initiative, and not all types get the opportunity to initiate in that way. So take advantage of it. Suggest collaborations, suggest contracts, or maybe you see this opportunity for a unique way to work together. Send unsolicited proposals. If you see a gap that you think you can fill, put it out there, okay? But be that spark to really get things moving. Because again, you initiate. You also have to remember your strategy. So manifestors, your strategy is to inform. That means before you take action, you inform. Now, what that looks like in the job search is going to be, now maybe you're informing, that might be personal. You might have to inform your partner or a family member or a mentor or something like that. But I would say the logistics of the job search, when you're sending a reach out message, you're going to want to inform first. So be upfront is what that means. That's translating inform in a reach out, an outreach message to a hiring manager that you want to pitch an idea to, for example, or to a decision maker you want to pitch an idea to. Inform them right up front why you're reaching out. Say, start with, I'm reaching out because. Okay. Then once you've informed, get into your idea. Okay. And you can also, if you are searching job boards, which I'm not saying you shouldn't, but if you're searching job boards, before you apply, reach out to the recruiter, reach out to a potential hiring manager, right? And say, I'm reaching out because, and this is what I'm looking to create. Then I saw this role and I was thinking about applying for it, etc. Okay? And then for manifestors, make sure your inner circle knows your plans, okay? Inform them of your plans. Does your inner circle know what it is you're looking to create or the impact you're looking to have? If they do not, that is your first step, because your inner circle, so many opportunities are going to come once people around you feel included. So that's your inner circle. That might be, and even your professional network or close contacts that you have. Make sure they feel included and let them know what you're looking to create or initiate. But really your focus, your goal here is smooth the path ahead and follow that strategy by clearly informing others of your moves, of what you're doing, of what you're up to. And remember that as a manifestor, you get to create your own opportunities. That's your strategy. That's how manifestors go through life. And so apply that to your job search. Next, I want to bring up, let's talk through some generators. My generators out there. It's important for you to know that you have the capacity and the energy, because you have an internal battery that allows you to just go and go and go. You have the capacity and energy for deep mastery. So career-wise, you might follow a very traditional path where you just get really, really good at one area. That's one of the things that generators can and often do. But the thing about that is it's only going to work if you are lit up by what you're doing. And as we go through the job search tactics, this is going to come up a lot. So if it gets repetitive in a few minutes, Just know it's because that is how important this is for you generators. Always be listening for that internal yes or no. Okay. And this is for generators, that idea of the full body yes, that is a generator idea. Is it a full body yes? Is it an immediate yes? Generators, you know immediately if something is for you or if it is not. Yes or no. Now, your brain might start taking over and it might get involved. And then it might start convincing you one way or the other. And that's why it's really important to understand the strategy of a generator is to respond. And so generators, we'll get into what that looks like, but it's important for you to know that when you respond to things that are not actually aligned for you, if your gut says yes or your gut says no, but your brain talks you into saying yes, you're probably going to end up feeling very frustrated. And so that is very important for you to know as you're going through your job search process, okay? And you have to be aware that generators have the tendency to fall into people pleasing. Not that other types don't people please, but generators specifically have a tendency to fall into people pleasing because of conditioning from society. I'm not going to dive into that in this specific session and talk, but it's just really important to know that that is a space you can go. So you can, if somebody's asking you, if you know that the cold application process does not feel right for you, and somebody's like, well, how many applications have you applied to? And then you feel like, well, I just have to be doing cold applications. Not necessarily. Okay. So let's get into this tactics here. The job search for generators, your mindset shift is going to be, it might be a bit challenging for some because generators, you have this battery internally that allows you to like really give a lot of energy out. And you'll do this joyfully if the activity is joyful for you, but if it is not, you will feel very frustrated and upset, right? And so you are conditioned to go out and make things happen. The thing is, you are not actually here to chase. Your strategy is to respond to external stimuli. It's to respond to what's already showing up around you. And when you do that, that is when magic happens for you. When you follow that internal yes, no to something that comes to you. Okay, so that is your strategy. So instead of thinking, I have to go make this happen, think, what is lighting me up right now? What am I naturally responding to with excitement and curiosity? Those questions, that's going to give you your path that you need to be thinking about. And in terms of your strategy for job search as well, what's lighting me up? I'm loving reaching out and having informational interviews. Awesome. Then do that. That is what you should be doing. I am really enjoying targeting tailored applications to roles that excite me. Great, then do that. But you need to follow what lights you up. And that means, on the other side of it, that means you have to watch out for shoulds, okay? I should be applying cold. I should be sending out 10 applications a day. That is not the right strategy for a generator, okay? What you need to be doing is if you're scrolling a job board, which you can do because generators, you are here to respond to external opportunities and stimuli and whatever life brings you. So if you're scrolling a job board and you can scroll job boards, see jobs and apply to them because that is an external opportunity for you to respond to. So that strategy is actually aligned very well for generators. But when you're doing that, you should only be applying to roles that you get a yes from, right? That internal gut feeling is yes. If you're going through it and you're like, no, then don't apply. Don't waste your time. You need to follow your yeses. Now, if you're looking to gain clarity, if maybe you don't have some clarity, you can create a hell yes, a maybe, and a nope list, right? So maybe you are just looking to gain clarity. So as you're going through jobs, you say hell yes, and you write that one down. You say no, you write that one down. The maybe, we're going to allow it for the sake of clarity, but really a maybe is a no because a maybe was a no that your brain started talking you into. Okay, so you're looking for that hell yes experience and you need to trust that response. Okay, it might be an emotional lift. It might feel warm or like a buzz, or is it meh? If it's meh, that's no. Okay. So focus on applying to things that give you that yes, that give you that excitement, and build momentum in your search by following what feels good. And if something's not feeling good, if you are starting to feel frustrated, that is your signal that something's off and you need to listen to that. Okay, so if you're applying to tons of jobs and you're feeling drained, it's time for you to pause and ask what part of the process feels forced. What would feel more energizing to you? Again, what is lighting you up? Is it cold applications? Is it targeting? Is it going to networking events? Is it reaching out and making connections and building relationship on LinkedIn? Doesn't matter what it is. The point is, wherever's lighting you up, that's what you should be doing. And so it's not a good idea for you to push through. Okay, it is better for you to pivot and recenter on what feels good. And if you are out there sharing what you're learning and loving, what you're doing, you're going to show people what you're doing. And that's what people are going to respond to. They're going to respond to your passion more than your pitch. Okay, your energy lit up is your best calling card. Okay, so let people see it in action, because when they see it, that's what's going to make opportunities happen for you that you get to then respond to. And the final tip here for generators is that you have a natural flow. And when you force it, you will get burnt out, frustrated, tired, discouraged, etc. So you do not want to force it, even though you can. You have the energy and the battery to force it. You do not want to force it, okay? So, and ideas here, you can create a loose structure for yourself. Maybe you apply on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and maybe you leave Tuesday, Thursday for networking, okay? But you need to work in blocks that honor your energy levels. How do you make a more holistic job search for yourself? How do you apply when you have a lot of energy, but when your energy's waning, you don't force it? And if you need to check in with yourself, check in with your gut, your breath, your posture, and check in to see like, okay, where am I at physically? Because those physical cues are also an indication if you are aligned or not. Being holistic is going to be really important to you to not burn out in this process, because you do have such a battery. And the downside of that is that you can find yourself overworking and putting way too much energy into things that are burning you out and not causing joy. Okay, so that is a big piece for you in job search, especially because I know there is pressure out there for the quote unquote full-time job search. So I encourage you and all types to consider meditation as part of your job search. Going for walks is part of your job search. Anything restorative for you is part of your job search. So if you got to get to a full-time search by making sure that your kitchen is clean, awesome. That hour counts towards your full-time job search, because these are the things that matter ultimately about the person behind the job search. And that is one thing that I'm always talking about. Got to pay attention and take care of the person behind the job search. Next, we are going to talk about our manifesting generators. I am married to a manifesting generator. My daughter is a manifesting generator, although she's only 12 months, so we haven't seen a ton of it yet, but we're starting to. MGs, here's what you need to know: that adaptability is your superpower, okay? You are not here to stay in your lane, and you tend to move fast and pivot quickly, okay? So for a manifesting generator, it's going to be super important that you are following your energy and exploring your multi-passions, because you're multi-passionate and you probably do not have a quote unquote traditional or linear career path. Society promotes a linear career path. You most likely do not have one. And the very first thing you need to do in a job search or career transition is accept that you don't have a linear career path, and you're not meant to. Okay, you are meant to explore, to learn it all, to follow all your passions, and then come back and report it back to the rest of us. Okay, and so you need to be responding to what lights you up and initiate action when needed. Okay, so you move at your pace, which is fast. And so you want to be paying attention to the not self theme of a manifesting generator, which is, if you are aligned, you are feeling peaceful. If you are misaligned, you're probably frustrated or angry. Okay, so if you're feeling frustrated or angry, that is your clue that it is time to pivot. And in your job search, it is okay to pivot. Okay, your mindset shift in job search is that linear path is not for you. You require flexibility and freedom, and you have to give yourself permission to pivot, because society is not always going to give it to you. So you have to give it to yourself. So instead of thinking, I have to follow one path and I have to make my career make sense, instead think, what lights me up right now and how can I respond and then move fast when I feel it? Your strategy as a manifesting generator, it's the same as generators. And in fact, a lot of the things that I shared about generators also apply to you. Some of the things about manifesting generators or manifestors as well. So you respond to external stimuli, to life events, to whatever life brings you, you respond to it, and you have that gut yes, no instinct as well. So your question is, what lights me up and how can I go after it? And so the first thing you need to do is that response, right? You have to listen for the yes, no. And then once you feel the yes, remember to inform others involved, okay? So thinking back to what I said about manifestors and generators, you inform other people. So you can start with that informative approach. You respond by saying yes, and now you inform, then you take action. But you are designed to move quickly. And so once you get the internal green light, you want to make sure you're not waiting too long. You got to act on it right away. And so that means if you see a job that you're interested in, don't bookmark it for later. You respond to it immediately. Okay? Bookmarking is not for you, MGs. Immediate response is what is for you. You need to allow yourself to pivot, okay? Because here's the thing about MGs. MGs tend to feel a lot of shame because they might say you're all over the place or you can't commit to something. But the thing is, your ability to adapt, your ability to pivot is actually your superpower. The fact that you are multi-passionate, that's a superpower. And I want you to start seeing it as that. And so if there are people in your life who've been told you're all over the place, or you might even have adopted that mindset and you say, oh, I'm just so all over the place. Guess what? Sure, maybe you are going in a bunch of different directions and you are always exploring something new. You're supposed to. You are on track. You are doing exactly what you're supposed to do as a manifesting generator. And so embrace that, okay? In your job search, I want you to embrace a nonlinear resume and tell your story instead of, well, I jumped around. No. You adapted. You followed your curiosity. You're very creative in problem solving. You are adaptable to different environments, to different fields. That's the story you need to be telling. And take that a step further and explain how your varied experience makes you more effective because you are able to gone through the process of quickly adapting to new environments a lot or to quickly catching up on new terminology, whatever it might be. That is really, really important. And so you want to make sure that you are owning your multi-passionate way and really thinking about how that benefits the company or the team that you are coming to. You're also going to want to stay open to side doors. So you might think I'm going to go in this direction, but suddenly a contract pops up in front of you. Stay open to it. Just stay open-minded to contracting, consulting, even pivoting industries, which, when the opportunity comes, your goal is to respond yes or no. So when an opportunity comes, listen to that sacred yes-no response and then take action very quickly. Now, because you move so quickly, you may tend to skip some steps, and that's okay. You as an MG, you can skip steps, but you do need to remember to manage your energy. And I talked about this some with the generators, okay? You have this internal battery that allows you to make big moves, but you need to remember that it's important that you are following the yes-no response. So only customize applications and expend your energy if you feel lit up. If you're not excited about the job, if you're like, yes, but you're not actually feeling really excited, just send in the application. Apply in bursts when you know your energy is high. But if you are having an off day or your body is saying no, then do not force it. Okay. And you definitely need to build in rest and no job stuff days. Okay. This is super important for generators and MGs. I will say it over and over, but you have the ability to expend a lot of energy. If you are doing it joyfully, that's great. If you are doing it and it's making you feel bad, you're going to end up burnt out, discouraged, and feeling really off. And finally, MGs, you just have a natural spark to you. Okay. I was working with an MG client recently whose strategy had been like mass applications, but they also are fantastic networkers. This is this natural spark. Every MG I know is really good at talking to other people. And so if you feel like you're not, consider if that's conditioning. Have people told you that you're not? Okay. I just want to note that. There's also a lot of factors that go into this. So I'm also recognizing it's not just about being a manifesting generator. There are a lot of things that could go into why somebody may or may not feel confident talking to other people. There's a lot of nature versus nurture here, right? But I want to just point out that like a lot of MGs are really good at talking to other people. And this person I was working with, they was so easily able to, they had a recruiter interview, just like a phone screen that turned into a coaching session that turned into a mentoring lunch, that turned into this person, this recruiter, now mentoring her through her job search process. She pivoted her process, focused more on networking because that's what gave her energy, and she found that opportunity very quickly after she switched her process to networking over applying online. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't apply online. You absolutely you can. That is a strategy. That's actually an activity for manifesting generators and generators that can work well. She was being lit up by networking, is my point. And so she followed the networking bug. If that's you, follow what's lighting you up. Okay, that is so important for manifesting generators. Next, projectors. Now, I am a projector, so I have probably a lot to say. Resonate the most, I will say, with all the projector pieces. But I think the high level, the most important thing for you to know, projectors, is that your mantra is do less better. Okay? You're not going to be remembered for the volume of work you do, but for the perspective you bring. Now, projectors, it's also really easy to follow into overworking as a evidence to prove yourself. There's that need to prove because people might have often called you lazy, or you felt like you had to do more than your energy allowed. Because projectors, we have very small batteries. They're very, very efficient. We are super efficient. And the battery is small. Okay, so we need rests. Okay, we'll get into that in a moment. But the superpower of the projector is to see systems, people, and patterns more clearly than they can see themselves. Okay, so we're going to talk about that in a moment. But the idea here is you are very, very efficient. So follow your efficiency. Now, the strategy of a projector is very different, and it doesn't lend itself well to traditional job search advice, okay? The strategy of a projector is to wait for the invitation. That means that you're not responding to external stimuli. You're waiting for somebody to recognize your wisdom, to recognize you in some way, and then invite you in. Now, that means that traditional job search advice, it's just not the best fit for a projector. It doesn't mean it can't work, but it's not the best fit. That's the mass applications, cold outreach without connection, and endless resumes, okay? This can feel very energetically draining to a projector. And so projectors, a different way to job search for you is to ask yourself, how can I position myself so invitations and recognition come to me naturally? So here's a few ways you can do that, because I know a lot of projectors that feel very frustrated with the strategy of waiting for the invitation, especially in the job search. So number one, be visible. Okay, I want you to share thoughtful perspectives on LinkedIn. People need to know what you're thinking. They need to know that you have this wisdom without you forcing it on them. Okay, so writing blogs, newsletters, that's fairly a passive way. There are some active ways, there are some passive ways that you can be sharing your wisdom. Hosting or speaking at webinars, that's going to be a more active way. So host a webinar. Go live on LinkedIn, whatever. Offer consults or strategy sessions. Put it out there and say, hey, I'm offering 20-minute strategy sessions on X topic, whatever your expertise is. That's going to showcase your value. And you offer those for free, get a few people in, and now you're networking, but in a way that somebody's recognized you. And that invitation, you can create an invitation from that. You want to be projectors. We see right through things. And so authenticity is very important to us. And so when we are networking, it's going to be really important that you network with intention, also to manage your energy. So invitations come through authentic connection. And so you want to start by reconnecting with mentors, colleagues from previous roles. Do informational interviews where you are asking questions and more listening and observing, because projectors, we observe and then we see the pattern and we see how it all fits together. And then when that person recognizes we see that pattern, we get to offer our wisdom. And that's how opportunities can be created for us. And as soon as somebody compliments you on your work, that is your invitation. Okay. If you get a compliment or somebody engages in a comment on a post, that is your invitation. And now you can start working on that relationship in order to turn that interest into an invitation for something next. Projectors, the final points I just want to make, it's so important. The holistic job search strategy is so important for the projector. This means you need to be incorporating different types of rest into your job search. Consider your job search strategy is not the activities you are doing to find a job. It is the activities you are doing to sustain yourself in finding a job. So if you have been working, first of all, ever in any context, more than 3 hours, it is time to stop, take a break, and either have a snack or have a nap. okay? You have to build in breaks because our battery is very low. And so consider your rest as part of your strategy. We're taking strategy from here, just job searching, to here. It is the whole individual behind the job search that is so important. And then also, you got to have clarity on what you're wanting to be invited to, because misaligned invitations will come to you. And if you are not clear on what you want, you'll find yourself in a misaligned role. And that's going to end up feeling really intense for one, your energy, but two, just your strategy. You're going to have wisdom, but people may not be open to receiving it. That can lead to a lot of bitterness on the part of projectors. And so I would recommend having a short, here's what I'm looking for statement that allows you to be very clear, and you just have it in front of you and you say, is this what I'm looking for? Yes or no. And finally, reflectors. You are such a special and rare type, okay? And so you're not really built for the cookie cutter 9 to 5. You're actually here to flow and adapt. You evaluate what's working and what's not. And you really will absorb and reflect the energy of everyone around you. Okay, so your number one strategy, I shouldn't say strategy because this isn't the official human design strategy, but you need to vibe check everything, okay? If you are in the wrong environment, you're going to be feeling disappointed, emotionally flat, let down, drained, disconnected, any of these things. And that's going to be pretty rough, okay? So you should be vibe checking and paying attention and checking in all the time. Now, your actual strategy in human design is a 28-day decision-making cycle. It's the lunar cycle is how you make decisions. And that's super important for you to think about in your job search, because you're not here to make snap decisions. Okay, if you rush into the first opportunity that comes along and you haven't had time to process it, you can easily find yourself in a misaligned role, okay? You need time and variety, and you need the right environment. And that environment is so, so key. So think about, how does this opportunity feel over time and in different lights? And I will give you a strategy for that in a minute. And then also, does this role reflect my value and respect my sensitivity? Because reflectors, you're very sensitive. Again, very sensitive to environment, very sensitive to relationship, to the interaction with others. Okay, so I want you to be paying close attention to how your body and mood shift about that opportunity through the process, okay? It's gonna be super important that you have a job search journal and that you are reflecting, or it could be a spreadsheet, okay? It's however you operate, but that you are reflecting on jobs as you go, okay? What was the vibe you got right when you read the job description? That starts your 28-day cycle. You don't have to wait till the job. Obviously, you can't wait till the job offer and then say, well, I need 28 days to make this decision. They are going to say, no, we need a decision tomorrow, right? However, if you start your process of vibe checking from the very point you see that application, maybe you have, you add it to your application tracker and you put excitement level 1 through 5. 5 is very excited, 1 is not very excited. That is the start of a vibe check, okay? And then you want to, instead of asking, do I want the job, ask, how do I feel in the environment, okay? If you can visit the office, visit the office. If you can talk to other employees, talk to other employees. Ask yourself constantly, how do I feel in this environment? How do I feel talking to this person? Always be checking in with that, okay? And in your interview, you're going to want to ask questions about culture so that you can understand, like, what is the vibe? As they respond to a question, what vibe do you get? And so that journaling process is going to be very important for you. I'm saying journaling, it might be a spreadsheet. Like I said, it doesn't have to be narrative, but just the fact that you're constantly checking in and then you go for what feels solid over time. It's not just exciting in the moment. Getting a job offer is exciting, but if that job offer for a reflector has not felt good all along, you are setting yourself up for a really bad situation. Don't do it, okay? Talk to trusted allies. Ask for a few days to consider. Recognize that they're not going to give you all the time in the world to consider a job offer. But go through your process. Go back through all your notes. How have you felt about this the entire time? And then finally, it's super important that you craft a job search that's fluid and reflective. So reflection, reflector, obviously very, makes sense, right? So you want to give yourself space to evolve in your process, not just execute a process, but evolve the process, okay? So treat it like an experiment, do weekly self-check-ins, reassess goals and directions. If you are targeting all your applications and you're like, man, it's just not feeling good, maybe it's time to pivot and try a new strategy. It's all about how you feel, and you get to reassess your goals and your directions and feel it out. Okay, that is what is very important for reflectors, is that you get to evolve with the process. So those are all of our 5 types. Quick summary: manifestors, you need to be thinking, what do I want and how can I make it happen? Generators, you need to be paying attention to what is lighting you up and what that sacral yes, no is. MGs, manifesting generators, same thing as generators. What is lighting me up and how can I act on it quickly? That is so key, is that quick action. Projectors, you need to be making yourself visible. So get out there, turn off this video, get out there, go post on LinkedIn, go start talking to people, make sure people know what your brilliance is. And reflectors, vibe check everything, okay? And take notes every step of the way so that you have a record of how you felt about something over time.